Welcome back to the Free Thinker Project, where the boundaries between the known and the unknown blur. Tonight, we delve into a chilling tale that will make your spine tingle and your pulse quicken. So grab your popcorn, wrap yourself tight in your blanket, and dim those lights. Prepare yourself for a journey into the dark and twisted world of a skinwalker, a creature that could be anyone, anywhere, even closer than you think. Are you ready to face the terror that lurks beneath the skin? Let's begin. But before we do, come step into a world where magic is not just a fantasy, but a reality at the Free Thinker Project Witchcraft Supply Store online. Our ever-expanding collection of witchcraft supplies, from magical herbs to powerful altar tools, invites you to unlock your inner potential and explore the mysteries of the universe, selected for their authenticity and power. Each item is a gateway to personal transformation and magical discovery. Join our community of seekers and believers. Read through our Book of Shadows and enjoy the ever-growing content at freethinkerproj.com. We ship worldwide, so you can begin your journey into the mystical today. Let the ritual begin. This happened a few years back in my small hometown, which is nestled in a rural part of the country that most people have never heard of. So I won't bother boring you with the details or its location. Chances are excellent you won't ever have any reason to find this place anyway. Life there is slow, and for a teenager, that translates to boring. Very, very boring. One of the few escapes from the monotony, especially during those restless summer nights, was a 24/7 convenience store about a half-mile down the road from my house. It was one of those places where people would run into each other. And sometimes, when that happened, it would spark a bit of unexpected small-town excitement. Like, for example, maybe someone was having a party that you didn't know about, and now you did. Like any small town, everyone knew everyone. And at the 24/7 convenience store, the night clerk, Jerry Bishop, was probably one of the most well-known in the town. In fact, the only thing more well-known than Jerry Bishop was probably the slushy machine inside the store where he worked. So anyway, one night, around 2 a.m., I was just laying around my room playing video games when I was suddenly hit with this insatiable craving for some potato chips and a soda. I looked at the clock, then looked outside my window. It was dark out, obviously, because it was 2 a.m. I was kind of bored of playing games anyway, and thought I should take a break. So I decided to make the trip to the 24/7, where I could pick up some tasty treats and say hi to Jerry while I was there. It was always nice to see Jerry. Stepping outside, I noticed right away how eerily silent it was out there in the dark. That didn't bother me, though. I had treats on my mind, and my grumbling stomach was not going to let me forget about them easily. And so off I went, down the road. When I had looked out the window earlier, I hadn't noticed that there was a fog that had settled on the town. It was not super thick, but it was thick enough to swallow the beam of my flashlight. Lucky for me, though, I had walked this route hundreds, if not thousands of times before. I could get to that 24/7 blind folded if I had to. So this fog did not bother me one little bit. When I arrived at the store, the parking lot was empty. Not surprising, considering it was now almost 3 in the morning. The bright neon sign that said 24/7 convenience illuminated the parking lot, with its light coming to a stop at the wall of fog that was surrounding the area. Opening the glass doors of the store, I was greeted with the familiar bell sound that was made when the swinging door hit the bell dangling from the ceiling. Jerry hung that bell so that nobody could sneak up on him while he was alone in the store. Jerry had been robbed before, and he didn't have a bell at that time. He was taken by surprise, and he wasn't about to let that happen again. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, sometimes flickering the way old fluorescent lights do. In some settings, this would be creepy, but inside Jerry's store, it felt like home. I remember thinking it felt colder than usual as I walked in. Normally, it was a comfortable room temperature, but not tonight. As I stood there in the doorway, I began to notice things that didn't seem right, things that made me uneasy, when normally I would feel perfectly happy standing in the store. I had forgotten about the tasty treats now, as I stood there taking in the feeling that had settled inside that store. The first thing that struck me as odd was the silence. Usually, Jerry would have some late-night talk show blaring on his small television that he kept behind the counter. Second, he didn't call out to me when I walked in. Normally, he would shoot some greeting or say something funny. After that, the shopping experience would be much more pleasant, and I would have a smile on my face the entire time. But tonight, there was nothing, not a peep. I shrugged it off, attributing it to him possibly being in the back, or even taking a quick bathroom break. Maybe he was throwing out the trash. Who knows? Shaking my head to snap myself out of it, I remembered those tasty potato chips that were waiting for me down the snack aisle. As I headed towards them, I noticed that my footsteps seemed louder than I would have liked. Normally, there's a constant white noise filling the space. Or is it brown noise? I don't know, whatever it's called. It wasn't there tonight. As I was debating between two brands of chips that I loved equally, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The silence was so damn loud. No hum of the refrigerators. No distant sound of a vehicle on the road outside. Not even the sound of my own breathing. The hair on my arms and down my back prickled as I called out, "Jerry?" There was no response. I tried again, louder this time, but again, only silence responded. That's when panic began to set in. The store felt different, like I'd stepped into a glitch or something. It was like I was standing in a photograph and not the actual 24/7. I decided to leave the snacks and head to the counter. Maybe Jerry was there, and I just missed him somehow. But the counter was empty. No Jerry, no sound, nothing. I stood there looking at the empty space where Jerry would normally be. And that's when I heard it. A soft, skittering sound, like nails on the linoleum floor. I swear every single hair on my body was standing straight up after that. Turning towards the sound, I expected to see Jerry playing a prank, but what was standing behind me was no prank. Instead, my eyes came to rest on a figure so enormously tall that it had to stoop forward to avoid putting its head through the ceiling. Its limbs twisted unnaturally, and as it came closer to me, it began moving in a jerky, erratic manner, like it was glitching out or something. Its eyes, if you could call them that, were like voids, dark sinkholes that began to mesmerize me. I had to look away. If I didn't, I would have been hypnotized by them. I froze, every instinct screaming that I was about to die, and that the massive, horrifying creature, slowly shifting towards me, was wearing a skin it didn't own. It made a sound, a grotesque mimicry that almost made me throw up. Using Jerry's voice, This abomination asked me with a chuckle, "Need help finding anything?" I ran. I didn't look back, didn't stop to grab the chips I came for. Bursting through the glass door that slammed into the dangling bell, I ran as fast and as hard as I could, leaving the 24/7 to fade away into the fog as I got further and further away. I just ran with all my might all the way home, slamming and locking the door behind me. I didn't sleep that night, or many nights after. The next morning, news spread that Jerry had gone missing. They found the store exactly as I'd left it. Door unlocked, lights on, but no sign of Jerry, or the thing that wore his shape. I never told anyone about what I saw. Who would believe me? But I know what I saw was real, and it wasn't Jerry. I've never been back to that store, not even after they found Jerry, or at least what was left of him, in the woods nearby. So, if you ever find yourself in a small town and you feel the urge for a midnight snack, just ignore it. Some things are better left until morning. Come step into a world where magic is not just a fantasy, but a reality at the Freethinker Project Witchcraft Supply Store online. Our ever-expanding collection of witchcraft supplies, from magical herbs to powerful altar tools, invites you to unlock your inner potential and explore the mysteries of the universe, selected for their authenticity and power. Each item is a gateway to personal transformation and magical discovery. Join our community of seekers and believers. Read through our Book of Shadows and enjoy the ever-growing content at freethinkerproj.com. We ship worldwide, so you can begin your journey into the mystical today. Let the ritual begin.